There, so it's so good to see you. I'm Paul Green. I'm your host of The Grass is Greener, and I have a very special guest today, Spencer Garret. He is an actor and a special friend of mine. We did a series together, and you recognize him from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty, where he played Chick Hearn, Chicago PD, For All Mankind, The Front Runner. He's had this really Iron Man 3, Mad Men, Law and Order, of course, Grey's Anatomy, Public Enemies, the film with Johnny Depp. He played Tommy Carroll there. The Mentalist, Yes Man, one of my favorite movies with Jim Carrey. You will recognize this guy's face. He's an actor's actor, as we get into. His mom was a president of SAG for 2 terms. And his father's in the business, and he was raised around New York and here, and he's just the best. And so we had a bunch of technical difficulties, nothing recorded. So one of my Patreon members, Timmy, actually did a screen recording, so you're going to see that. So thanks, Timmy. And thanks to my Patreon members, this was actually filmed in front of them. And that's it. So here's the episode. Before I do, just please remember to check out the sponsors. Bioptimizers has digestive enzymes and magnesium, which I'm just they both are so crucial. Everybody's deficient in magnesium. And if you feel like you're bloated or you have a hard time digesting your food, these enzymes are super helpful. And so there will be a link for all that down below. Please subscribe and share and all that. And I will see you on the other side. Here's Spencer. Love for each other. Ladies and gentlemen, Spencer Garret. Oh, you're still muted. But just clap. Yeah, I know. I got you to do it. No, you're still muted. Oh, Ruth, sorry, whoever forced nobody to mute, even Spencer can't mute. Can you do it now? There we go.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Welcome.
Hey,
welcome, my friend.
Hey, buddy. How are you? Good to see you. Hi, everybody.
It's about time, man.
It's about time.
It's about time.
You know what? In America, buddy, we say about. You got it. How long you been here?
Did I just say boot?
No, I'm just busting your chops.
Yeah, you can't.
I love to tease your Canadianness.
But I've been out of Canada for so long that it's like, but I have been around my mom, and my mom sounds very Canadian. It's hilarious.
I think I met your mom, or I've seen your mom. I've heard your mom talk somehow. Yes, she's very Canadian. She's very. It's very lilty, like Swedish almost. Oh yeah. Are you originally from Saskatchewan?
Alberta. Yeah. So there's so much, like, what's so interesting about you, Spencer, is you're one of those actors. You know how there's actors, directors? You're an actor's actor. I feel like just being on set with you and being in a show with you, we did 40 plus episodes, or I don't know how many episodes you did. We did a lot of episodes on.
I mean, I know I did 56 episodes of that show. I don't know how many you and I did together, but it was the most bananas filming experience of my life.
Yep.
You know.
And we were in San Diego. It's called Wicked Games. And there's actually one of my Patreon community on here, Tracy Spalding. That's how she discovered me back then and has been following my career since Wicked Games. But working with you and being with you in a scene, I just remember feeling like, partly felt like I was in a play, but also it was my first real big job like that.
Yeah.
I felt really taken care of by you in the scene. So
well, that means a lot to me. I mean, that was, what are we talking? 2009, something like that.
Yes. I think so.
Something like that. I mean, and I remember like driving back and forth between LA and San Diego. Sometimes you'd go down and you'd shoot 2 or 3 episodes and you'd come back. But sometimes you'd be in San Diego for a week or 2 weeks, 10 days. It was a very strange experience, but I remember shooting, we were block shooting. So we were shooting multiple episodes of the series in different locations at any given time. It was very chaotic. And you and I kind of like became blood brothers in the midst of that just insane vortex of filming. And just became pals right away, like right from the get-go.
And you were with me the night I got pulled over and had to walk backwards, or were you with me that night?
I don't think I was with you that night, but I got pulled over. Do you know this story? Should I tell
No.
this story?
Yeah, sure. Tell it.
So we were shooting. Well, you know the story, but I'll refresh your memory. We were shooting an episode. We were shooting block shooting. For those of you watching that don't know what block shooting is, it's when you shoot several different scenes from several different episodes that take place in the same location. So if we're shooting like a scene that takes place in the police station in episode 12, we would shoot another scene that took place in a police station in episode 52, and we would shoot them all at the same time.
Yeah.
So, because we had the police station location for that day. So I remember one day we were shooting in two different locations. We wrapped something at 11 o'clock at night, and I had to get in my car and go to another location to shoot something else and be there like by 12:15 a.m. in the morning. I mean, it was bananas. And the prop guy said, "Hey, do you want me to throw your badge?" I played a police detective, and the prop guy said, "Do you want to take your stuff with you, or do you want me to throw it in the van and I'll meet you at the next location?" I said, "No, I've got it with me." I had my prop rubber gun and my police badge on the passenger seat of my car. It's 11:30 at night. It's dark. I pull up to a four-way stop. I look around. There's nobody around, and I blow through the red light. And I hear, "Woo!" And I get pulled over by a cop. And I'm in this rickety old 1974 diesel Mercedes that sort of chugs along. And I'm thinking, this is the beginning of my nightmare. Cop comes over, taps his flashlight on the window, and I crank the window down. And I look at this policeman and I say, "You're not going to believe this, officer, but I'm actually an actor and I'm on my way to shoot a scene." And he's just looking at me like, who is this idiot? And then he flashes the light in the passenger seat and he sees the gun and the badge. And I said, "Well, I play a police detective on this show and you can call the production office." And I felt like with everything that came out, every word that came out of my mouth, I just kept digging the hole deeper and deeper. And he said, "Let me see your license." I give him my license. He said, "Well, it's not your lucky day." He said, "Not only can I arrest you for impersonating a police officer, but your license is expired and I'm going to impound your car." So long story short, I have to get out of the car. I'm on the side of the road with my cell phone and my little backpack, and I'm calling the production office, and I said, "The funniest thing just happened, guys."
Oh no, I lost the plot.
They just took my car away from me. My license had expired by 2 days or something, and I hadn't renewed it. So they literally took my car away. I'm standing on the side of the road. There was this before Uber, I think. I took a taxi to the next location. The cop took my gun and my badge and all that. He let all that go. But it was just that was kind of how that show went for me. I remember you now getting, we were kind of randy boys back in the day.
I think I'd had one beer at Hooters or something, and was it? It was a place like.
It was like an Irish bar. It was like an Irish pub. Yeah.
Okay. It felt like that. And then I missed the turnoff and I backed up a little bit to make the turnoff, and the cop.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Oh shit. Yes. Yes. I remember now. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And didn't I have my shirt off at Whole Foods or something in the same night? Is that true?
Well, you're kind of conflating the two stories. You and I went to Whole Foods. We went to Whole Foods in the middle of the day.
2006, by the way. 2006.
2006? Oh my God.
That's what Tracy said. I was a believer.
Yeah. 2006, we went into Whole Foods. You did, in fact, take your shirt off in the middle of the frozen food section for God knows what reason. To this day, I don't know why. And you were running up and down. You were chasing me up and down the aisles and saying, "But Spencer, don't you understand? I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Why are you running away from me?" And you literally chasing me up and down Whole Foods. And I remember looking and seeing the basketball player Bill Walton, who had been retired, but he used to play for the San Diego Clippers, and he was in the checkout aisle.
No.
And he's like 6'10", this giant guy, and I'm being chased by this crazy half-naked actor down the aisles of Whole Foods, and there's a 7-foot-tall, basketball player, and I'm like, what is my life? Like, what is this job I'm doing? This is
crazy.
Yeah.
This is a really good segue from Bill Walton. Now, Bill Walton, did he ever play for the Lakers? Because you just finished the Lake Show. Not finished, but like, did they finish it? It's over, right?
It's over. He didn't play for the Lakers. Bill Walton played for the Celtics and the Portland Trail Blazers, and he ended his career with the Clippers. I was on a series for HBO called Winning Time about the Lakers in the 1980s, and I played the broadcaster Chick Hearn, the famous broadcaster who said, slam dunk, and he coined a lot of basketball phrases, but his famous sign-off phrase was, this game is in the refrigerator, folks. The lights are out, the door is closed, the butter's getting hard, the eggs are cooling, and the jello is jiggling. That was his catchphrase. And so I say that every game, but it was a great show. It was with, and I was at 3 hours every morning covered in prosthetics. I'll see if I can find a picture somewhere.
Yes, you can send it to me and I'll put this on the actual thing.
Oh, yeah, I will.
I'm also going to put a clip of us in Wicked Games where you were losing it while you were interrogating me, and I'm going to put that in there too. Send me that clip from it's called.
I'll send you pictures of me. I mean, I don't look anything like myself. I was 3 hours in makeup every morning. They added a nose and a chin and ears and a wig and a whole thing, and they turned me into Chick Hearn as much as I possibly could. He had a long sort of beaky nose and big ears. It was pretty remarkable. The guy, the makeup team that turned Charlize Theron into Megyn Kelly in a movie that I did called Bombshell. Also the same makeup artist from the movie Vice turned Christian Bale into Dick Cheney. So really incredible work. So it was fun. It was John C. Reilly and Adrian Brody and Sally Field and Jason Segel, a lot of great actors. It was a really good, a very, very actor-driven show. It was a lot of fun to do. So we did 2 seasons of that, and then I just finished the last one. So,
what's your secret, man? Like, secret of longevity to have, to have such a career and have it be to keep the integrity that you have and the reputation that you have, but also just to keep on working. Like, what's your secret, man? What are you doing?
I wish I had a secret, Paulie. I would say, Steve Martin, who is one of my childhood heroes, had a great expression when somebody asked him, I think on the old Charlie Rose show, they said, people come up to me all the time and say, how do you break into show business? How do you become an actor, and how do you sustain a career? And he said, when you're auditioning, or when you get the job after the audition, be so good that they can't forget you. And I remember hearing that long time ago, and that kind of sticking with me. And I think if I had any secret at all, it's probably coming from I'm a 3rd generation actor. So coming from grandparents who were actors, a mother who was an actor, and she was the president of the Screen Actors Guild, a union leader, with an enormously tenacious work ethic, a great work ethic. And I think that was instilled in me at an early age as a kid, when I started acting as a kid, trying to be as a good a person as you can be, like try to be a nice person, show up on time, hit your mark, know your lines when you're on set, be a professional. And if you keep doing that, I mean, I look at my credits and I got a lot of repeat business from directors over the years. We were talking about Arvin Brown, great director that Paul worked with, that I worked with on a movie years and years ago. Arvin used to run the Long Wharf Theater in New Haven, and then came out to Los Angeles and directed a lot of great episodic stuff. And I mean, I worked with him several times. I worked with Jonathan Frakes several times, who directed me in my first Star Trek in '92. He picks up the phone and calls 10 times over the last 15, 20 years, and hires me for different things. I think I like to attribute it. I like to say with as much humility as I can that I attribute it to being as professional and as kind a person as I can. I try to learn the names of everybody below the line on the set. If I'm on a show for a long period of time, everybody from the craft service person to the costumers to the the grips and the gaffers, and make relationships with those people and know who they are, because those are the ones who are. It's a collaborative art, and if you have relationships not just with the actors on the show, but with the people who are also making the machine hum, then I think that speaks to one's character as well. So I try to be that guy as much as I can.
You are that guy, man. You are that guy. When I introduced you, is there any highlights of your career that like you can brag here for a minute? Because obviously Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for me is my favorite thing I've seen you experience. Air Force One is something that a lot of people love. The Shonda Rhimes thing that you just did, that you're still doing. You can't talk too much about it.
I just finished it yesterday, in fact. Yeah.
And what's it called?
It's called, it will be called The Residence, as in the place where one lives, as opposed to like the doctors. It's about the White House. I'm trying to dance around the NDA that I signed and talk about it.
Right. You don't have to.
It's a murder mystery in the White House.
Cool.
And it's a very kind of Knives Out. Wonderful actress Uzo Aduba from Orange Is the New Black won a couple of Emmys from that. Extraordinary actor. And there's a murder mystery in the White House, or there's a murder in the White House during a state dinner. Everything shuts down, and this detective comes in and tries to solve the case. That's basically the gist of it. And I'm the head of the FBI, and there's everybody's a suspect basically, and she tries to solve the case. And it's one of the most, probably I would say, in the top 3 greatest scripts I've ever read in my life. One guy wrote it, a wonderful writer named Paul William Davies, who worked on Scandal. He's been in the Shondaland universe for Shonda Rhimes for a long time. He created a show called For the People. And this was a kind of an example of what we were talking about before, where I got offered the role, which is always nice to get offered something and you don't have to jump through the hoops and audition and all those things. And I showed up to the table read and I said, "Thanks for having me." And he said, "You did such a nice job for me on For the People. I thought of you as, for this guy." And that's a nice phone call to get. So we just finished yesterday, but we started last March of 23, shot 4 episodes, and then the strike hit, and we shut down for the strike, which, as you know, lasted 6 long months. And then we were just getting ready to come back, and our lead actor, who was the wonderful, wonderful Andre Brower from, started out in the movie Glory, wonderful African-American actor. He was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, many, many things. And an actor that I had an actor crush on for a long, long time, just a beautiful man. And he passed away very suddenly of lung cancer at 61. And so everything shut down again. And this one man, this poor guy who wrote all 8 episodes, and there's a lot of flashbacks, and it's very intricate, and it's very, very involved. And he had to figure out how we were going to move forward. And so they ultimately ended up recasting him or replacing him. None of those words work because Andre was irreplaceable. But with Giancarlo Esposito. So we just finished reshooting everything with Giancarlo Esposito that we filmed with Andre. And Andre and Giancarlo were very good friends. And so he did it as a tribute to his friend. And it was interesting working with an actor who they have such different energies. So he brought his own interpretation to the role. And so we'll see how it turns out. But I think it's going to be a monster hit. I like to not be associated with anything other than monster hits.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that Johnny Depp thing you did. What was that one?
Public Enemies. Yeah.
Public Enemies.
Yeah, my first thing with Michael Mann. Yeah.
That was Michael Mann.
My first it's my first collaboration with Michael Mann. And then I did after that with him, I did a series, short-lived series on HBO called Luck, about horse racing. Okay. Michael Mann and David Milch, who created Deadwood and NYPD Blue, and that was with Dustin Hoffman and Nick Nolte, and Dennis Farina, and incredible cast about horse racing. And a couple of horses passed away in the making of that film, and it ended up getting shut down. And so that was, but we did 2 seasons on Luck, and then I did after that with Michael, I did a movie called Black Hat with Chris Hemsworth, Viola Davis. So
Oh, wow.
I'm a terrific director who, and I just found out yesterday that I'm going back to do. They're doing the sequel to the movie Heat with De Niro, Pacino, and they're doing a prequel to it with Adam Driver and Austin Butler. And so I'm going to do that in the.
You're going to be on that thing too.
I'm doing that, starting that in August.
Jeez, man, I need your agent. What the heck? You got. I'm so proud of you and so inspired that someone, you know, that's.
Listen, I am equally as proud of you, because I remember working on that crazy show with you in San Diego, and you know, you were pretty green. You know, you were studying with Sandy Marshall, I think, at the time, and. You know, and there were a lot of young actors that a lot of them, it was their first job. I don't think it was your first job, but several of those actors that were on that crazy, you know, nighttime soap opera thing we did, it was their first job, and it was rough going watching some of them work. And I think you might be the last man standing in that class, because you actually went on. You kept studying, you kept working and working and working, you know, and the, you know, the you and your Hardys. I mean, you've turned that into just an extraordinary. You've had such a great run with that, so I'm very, very proud of you, my brother.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk to you during the strike, because like I wanted to hear your thoughts on, you know, for sure AI, and knowing that your mom was a president of SAG, and you've been inside those kind of conversations for a long time, and you know, obviously a new deal needed to be made. But what's your thoughts on the future of, like, because you obviously you have several decades in you and a love for Hollywood, and a love for, like, Hollywood to you is not a dirty word. Hollywood to you, and I'm really proud of my job too. Some people are like scungy towards Hollywood, but it's just like every business has its issues and its secrets and its problems. But what do you think our future is as actors, when you look at like how quickly AI, like you could tell AI to write the Seinfeld episode and it does above 7 out of 10 job.
Yeah, it's terrifying to me, to be honest. I mean, one of the things we fought for in the strike was protections against the encroachment of AI. It's already I had a pretty good career doing voiceover stuff for a long time. I mean, that was kind of a good bread and butter side hustle for me. That is virtually gone away, because you can replicate anybody's voice now with AI. And I know for a lot of actors that, you know, that relied on voiceover work, it's gone.
It's gone. And that's
pretty well gone.
That's why we're not getting any voiceover auditions. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. It's very strange. So that was one of the things we were fighting for. I think we got some protections. I know this past week, the leadership at SAG-AFTRA was in Washington lobbying Congress for more protections. But obviously it's, you know, it's the most dysfunctional Congress in the history of the world right now. I'm not holding out any hope that anything's going to get done for us there. But we did get, you know, we got some crumbs in terms of streaming residuals and things like that. I mean, baby steps. 118 days on the picket line was rough. I spent a lot of them out there at Warner Brothers and right around the corner from where I live at Paramount. And I don't know, ultimately, to answer your question, I don't know how much we ended up gaining at the end of the day. I don't know how much we got after all of our sweat and tears on the picket line, but I'm hoping that at least we set the bar for the next negotiation 3 years down the road. The other thing is, I mean, the technology AI is here to stay. The horse is already out of the barn. I mean, I see on Instagram all the time now, you see AI people that have their own pages. That's But the one saving grace is AI is never going to replace the heart and soul of an actor. You can make a movie with AI generated actors, but you're never going to be able to replicate emotions the way we are able to do it. So I think we're okay for a while. The ChatGPT stuff, the AI stuff in terms of the writing, the writers did got a lot of like safeguards and guardrails for the protections against there. So we're getting we'll see.
We'll see. Maybe, and I heard, what's his name? Who's the head guy from The Office? Like, I'm just blanking on his name.
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell was interviewed, and he said that live plays are going to be a big thing because it's going to be the only chance you'll know something's real. And like someone like you have a good history with theater. That's kind of exciting in a way too, because maybe there'll be.
But that's interesting. That's interesting. You mentioned Steve Carell. I mean, who's a friend, and I'm actually going to go see him in New York in a couple of weeks. He's doing a production of Uncle Vanya on Broadway. That's what
he was being interviewed for.
Yeah. And I say, great for Steve Carell, but you can't make a sustainable living doing theater. It's going to be great for theater. Yes, there's 14 new plays opened on Broadway in the last 2 weeks. That's amazing. But
maybe it'll standardize a higher pay though, meaning like it'll bring different actors there and a bigger audience, because the audience will be like, I want to watch something real. I'm willing to pay X to experience it. But or maybe filming something live and then they show that. I don't know. It's AI.
But I do see a resurgence of theater. But I mean, the history of the theater at least in the last 15, 20 years is, unless you're a TV star or a movie star that is slumming by doing a play on Broadway, that's how a Broadway play gets put up these days. Is you have to have a bankable star. Not gone are the days when you could just be a theater actor and make a living doing theater in New York. That's not the case anymore. So I mean, I just got off the phone before you and I talked. There's a production of Glengarry Glen Ross, the David Mamet play, that's going back to Broadway in a couple of months. And there's 6 main characters in that. And there was one character that I was interested in, and they're like across the board, all 6 characters they're going for TV stars, or movie stars. Like several of the names that were mentioned to me are like, oh, that's the guy from the Marvel movie. And, it's like, it's weird. So we just got to make our own stuff. Have you heard anything your own stuff
about that stuff we were talking with Dylan? Have you heard anything about that?
No, about we had many Zooms about that.
I haven't heard.
What was it? The wokey something?
We woke.
Yeah.
I was crossing all my toes and fingers that we'd get to shoot something, and then he went. I don't think it's shelf, but there's a project that I think you'd be awesome for that, and I'd love to. My character's mustache did you watched it, right?
I did, yeah.
Where I'm like a mega Republican, and then I come into the super woke community. It's it has potential. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's my dream to be able to be on set again with you, man. We got to just make our own thing.
Well, I mean, you and Johan and Gina LaPiana, and I did a couple of things with them a while back, and it's true. You just have to make your own stuff. You gotta create your own luck these days. So, but I have been lucky. I've been blessed that I've been able to kind of go from gig to gig, but I'm also, as you know me, I'm not one to sit and cool my heels after when a job ends. I mean, I'm the day, like an hour after I wrapped a year-long Shonda Rhimes series yesterday, I was on the phone to my managers and saying, okay, what's next? So I like to stay busy. I like to be in the mix. So, and if it's not an 8-part miniseries or the movie in Thailand that I'm about to do, it's a couple of days as a guest spot or something. And, I did a play in New York last year, which was one of the best experiences that I've ever had in my life. I was jonesing.
What was the play?
play. It was called Windfall. Did it in New York at an amazing theater called the Bay Street Theater in Sag Harbor out in the Hamptons, an 800-seat theater. And I was literally like, I had just finished Winning Time, and I was kind of sitting on the couch thinking, I really, really need to do a play. I hadn't done a play in 10 years. I hadn't been on stage in 10 years. And I used to go from play to play to play. And I just love it so much. And I was kind of like manifesting, just throwing it out into the universe in whatever woo-woo way I could. And I got a call a couple of days into, I was throwing it out there, and I got a call from Jason Alexander, who's a buddy of mine from, long, long ago. I've known him 30 years. And he called me up. He said, "Hey, you want to do a play?" And I said, "Yeah, that's like all I'm thinking of." He said, "I'm directing a play at Bay Street Theater. It's a big, broad, crazy, wacky, farcical, door slamming comedy." And he said, "I keep thinking of you for the lead, but I've never seen you do anything like that before." He said, "I know you." The guy's kind of like he's kind of a prick in a suit, which I've played a lot of, but it's very big and broad and over the top. And he said, "It's a funny prick in a suit, and I've never seen you do. I haven't seen you do a lot of comedy."
Right.
And I said, "Let me read it, and if I think I can deliver for you, then I will say yes. And if I don't, then I will say no." And I read it, and it was like pages long monologues and a lot of physical comedy, a lot of real. And I was just like, I can't not do this. I have to do this. It was such a challenge, and I finished. I put down the play, and I remember feeling my heart going, God, if I say yes to this, I mean, I'm all in. And it was the biggest risk that I've ever taken in my career, because I had to be like, I was the guy. I was being billed as the guy on the poster, and it was an office comedy. So it was me and 5 other people, and I was the horrible boss to a bunch of people in this office. But they were sort of promoting me and touting me as the star, even though it was a big ensemble. But I had the lion's share of the dialogue and the work and the physical comedy.
Yeah.
So we rehearsed for 3 weeks in New York. We went out to Sag Harbor, and opening night, and I was terrified, and ended up getting the best reviews of my life. I mean, the show, the direction, the production, all of the other, all across the board, we got wonderful reviews.
Amazing.
And it was to this day. And we ran for 6 weeks out there, out in the Hamptons. And to this day, it was, sometimes you have to do that thing that scares you the most to kind of wake up that other part of your body. That for me, it was that muscle that hadn't done comedy for a long time. And I'd gotten very comfortable playing a certain kind of guy. But being big and broad and physical, and like really physical. And also the amount of dialogue was very daunting. But I hired somebody to help me learn the lines, and yeah, it was great.
What's the biggest thing you learn about yourself in that process? And we only have a few minutes. If you guys have a question for Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in the chat.
How many people are on here? I'm just curious. I see. Oh God, there's a lot. 43.
Oh,
wow. Terrific.
And so, but don't ask a question that's going to require a lot of time. Like, think about something that we can, we have 6 minutes left. So,
okay.
If you have a hard out at 5:15, which we'll do that. But what's the biggest thing that you learned, like, about yourself, like facing, that's the next level boss to beat, is that version, like that dragon to slay on this hero's journey, and you chose it. So what'd you learn?
I learned to face my fears, in a way that I hadn't. I mean, at that time I was 58 years old, and I think I learned to not be complacent and not settle into something that you're comfortable doing. To when you're at the edge of the cliff, sometimes you just have to jump and trust that you're going to be able to fly. And I surprised myself that I was able to fly. And I ended up becoming a leader to the other actors on the show, which is not something that I've never been like number one on the call sheet before. I've always been like the supporting actor, you know, the ensemble guy, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the call sheet, part of the ensemble. But in this instance, I was hired to be like, to set the tone. And and I needed that for myself to know that I could be, you know, the guy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You
does that
needed
make sense?
Yeah, of course. You needed to be the guy, and then you stepped up to be the guy. It reminds me of, like, it's very different probably if you're really in battle, but probably, you know, people who would go to war. Imagine, I always think about other times when you had to go to battle with like a knife or like a stick, and how do you sleep the night before? And then
Yeah.
I think I know the thing I gotta do, which is like fight this so that I don't lose the valley or this war. But like you have to be the man, and then you step into it, but you've never been that thing before.
Yeah.
Sometimes roles like that sometimes acting feels like that because you're playing a character too. Like you're playing this thing that's bigger and a much bigger moment usually than we get to experience in sometimes.
Yeah. I think, so the flip side of that lesson that you asked me is, you know, do the thing you're afraid of.
Yeah.
And I happy to say that I think I rose to the challenge, but also, I also wanted to very much to please, Jason, my director, because he's somebody that I admire so much as a human, as a man, not just as a friend, but, as an artist, as an actor, who came up in Broadway theater and, you know, and went on to have great success in Seinfeld and all of that and all the things he said. And I learned, I had a crash course in how to do comedy from one of the great comedy masters. And that's something that nobody can take away from me. I mean, it was just an amazing experience. So I really wanted to, I remember one time, I know we're running out of time, but I remember one time in the middle of the rehearsal process, and I literally broke down crying because I pulled him aside and I said, I feel like I'm failing you because I'm not really getting this. I couldn't get a grasp on the character. We had a 2-week rehearsal process. It was really quick. And I found at one point, I ultimately found a physicality that informed the rest of who the guy was, that ended up carrying me through. And that's who the guy became. But I pulled Jason aside and I was crying and I said, I really, really want to please you. And he said, you're doing great. Like, don't be hard on yourself. And I said, give me a line reading if you need to. And I will just follow your lead. And he gave me a little piece of wisdom that he'd learned from Jerome Robbins, the great choreographer, years and years ago. And I took that little kernel and I ended up finding this bit of physicality that I ended up doing as this character in the play. And that ended up like, I was off to the races from there. So sometimes like a little.
Good for you to be humble enough to ask for a line reading, because most actors are like, if a director ever gives me a line reading, because for those of you watching, line reading is the biggest insult to an actor in a sense, because the director's basically saying, be a monkey. Like, do it like this. Walks in the room and he says, forget about it. And then he wants you to do that. And but you went up to him with humility. He was like, I don't care if it takes a line reading. I want to get this tone. And that takes something. The
worst thing is getting a line reading from one of your fellow actors. But I asked Jason, I said, tell me how to say the line and I will do it, because you know comedy better than anybody I know. So, all
right. These are rapid fire questions. So you can't tell a story. You just have to. So best advice you got from your mom.
Oh, for my mom, study with Sanford Meisner. Study with the best acting teacher you can find. Full stop. Changed my life.
We both studied Meisner. This is from Lindy. She's been a big admirer of yours since The Real McCoys.
Hi, Lindy. Oh, of mine since The Real McCoys?
Yeah.
I wasn't on The Real McCoys. My mom was on The Real McCoys.
Oh, got it. Oh, been a big admirer of his mother since The Real McCoys. I misread it. Okay. Your relationship to your mom's special, right?
Yeah, she's great. She just turned 90. She's still acting.
That was Mary's question.
Oh, Yeah. She's still acting. She did. In fact, I'll give a plug for my mom. The last movie she did was a lovely little movie called The Last Movie Star with Burt Reynolds that turned out to be his last film from about 5 years ago, directed by Adam Rifkin, The Last Movie Star. She's beautiful in it. He's amazing in it. And it turned out to be his last movie. Burt was supposed to be in the last movie that I did called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Burt Reynolds was supposed to be the old man at the ranch when Brad Pitt goes to the ranch where the hippies are, where the Manson Ranch. And Burt passed away in the middle of rehearsing that film. And Bruce Dern ended up taking over for Burt. But, so we're all replaceable.
In a sense.
It's a great film.
In 3 words, this is my question, but we need part 2 of this because I want to ask you about. I'm going to save my question about Tarantino then. So, okay. Timmy says you spent hundreds of hours watching old Laker videos to prepare for Chick Hearn. On a scale of least to most challenging, where would you place getting into? So, what was getting into character for him? What was the easiest which was the hardest? Like zero.
It was at 4:30 in the morning, sitting in the makeup chair for 3 hours, closing my eyes, and then I'm done, and I look in the mirror, and my face is a completely different human being, and that put me in the mindset of playing the guy. That was the easiest because once I put on the polyester suit and the hair and the wig and all that, I was Chick Hearn. The hardest part about it was the enormous amount of dialogue that there was, because when we shot the basketball sequences and I'm calling the basketball games, it's Magic to Kareem, Kareem to Cooper, Cooper to Worthy, slam dunk, swish, blah, blah, like endless pages.
Did you read it, or did you have to have that all memorized?
At first I had it memorized the first couple of episodes, and I was really, really tough because there was a lot of close-up stuff, so I didn't have the ability to have. And finally I went to Adam McKay, who directed Anchorman, and I said, listen, guys, I said, if you're going to give me 25 pages every episode of consecutive dialogue, I said, I need a teleprompter or something. So they rigged this thing. They made this great thing where they put all of my dialogue up on gigantic cue cards and they set it on the dolly track. And so when the basketball players are on the court and they're running up and down the court, the cue cards were on the dolly track and they were going up and down. So I was reading off the cards as I was calling the basketball games because I wouldn't have been able to memorize. I was saying variations of the same thing in different ways.
Oh, that would have twisted my mind.
Yeah. But it was actually fun because having it on the cards gave me the freedom to make it sound like I was being spontaneous with it. So when you see me doing it, it's coming out of my mouth for the first time, which is
I gotta go. I still haven't seen it. So, okay, quickly, I haven't. I'm sorry. I don't watch anything. I don't watch things except for I have a 2.5-year-old. So I haven't seen.
It's a really good show. It's a really, really good show.
It's called Winning Time.
Winning Time: The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. And
I was a huge Jordan fan during that time. So that era of Lakers is kind of what I watched with like our weird farm.
Unfortunately, we got killed after season 2 before they actually had the rise of the Lakers dynasty. So in season 2, we ended up losing to the Boston Celtics, which made Boston Celtics fans very happy.
That sucks. So what's your most enjoyable role? First thing that comes off your head.
Most enjoyable role?
This is from Mary Hammock.
Hi, Mary. Most enjoyable role? Probably, I would say that play that you never saw. But second, after that, I would say probably Chick Hearn in Winning Time, or the guy I played in Public Enemies with Johnny Depp. I played this bank robber, like this ex-boxer who had a limp and a cauliflower ear, and that's the movie that kind of changed my life too. It changed my career too. So once I got in that movie, everything kind of changed for me. So it's enjoyable for a lot of different reasons.
It changed more than your life changed after Wicked Games with me.
Wicked Games.
And it wasn't. That wasn't your most enjoyable acting role. Like George is actually asking your most enjoyable role as well. So what's your second one? Right under. Well, you did it. You did the play, and then you did Chick Hearn, but then you did Public Enemy. We got 3. We got it. We said.
Yeah.
Most rewarding acting experience, probably similar. It was the play, obviously, right? In
the play, but I mean, no, you guys didn't see the play. But in terms of film or TV, I would say either Winning Time or I mean, listen, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, getting to spend a day on a set with Tarantino and Brad Pitt and and DiCaprio. And the best part of that day was as a character actor for 35 years, walking onto that set and seeing those two guys, both of them I've known over the years. And Brad Pitt turned to me and he's like, I know I've seen you in a million things. Have we ever worked together before, or is this the first time? And I said, well, you wouldn't remember this, but we did the last 3 episodes of Dallas together. Those of you out there old enough to remember Dallas. We never met. We didn't have any scenes together, but he was like a 19-year-old kid fresh off the bus from Missouri. And he was on Dallas and I was on Dallas. And I said, yeah, we were both on Dallas together. And DiCaprio was like, you guys were on Dallas? That's so cool. I said, I was on Growing Pains. And, and all of a sudden we're like 3 guys that were just talking about how we made our bones doing guest spots. And these two just happened to have won the genetic lottery or the 2 biggest movie stars in the world. So, they went from Knots Landing and Growing Pains and Matlock. We're all talking about all these guest spots.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So it made me feel comfortable. I'm like, oh, we all, you're a mega star, but we all put on our fucking pants one leg at a time. So excuse my French.
That's okay. I'm gonna let you go because it's 5:15 somewhere. It's 5:20 in here in Pacific time. But I want everybody to follow you on Instagram, or where would you like them to follow you? Tell them.
I'm mostly on Instagram, and I take DMs. You can, if any actors out there, you can ask me a question. I'm at Spencer Garret and the number 1 there, and I'm on Twitter at one Spencer Garret. But I'm mostly on. I'm kind of not on Twitter anymore. I'm mostly on Instagram at Spencer Garret 1.
And now it's May 3rd, 2024. What's the next project that people are going to be able to watch and where?
Probably this one that I just finished, The Residence, Shonda Rhimes, Netflix. It'll probably be out in late fall. I'm heading to Thailand in a few weeks to start a film there for a month. Don't know how that's going to turn out. And I just produced a movie last April that we just got into a bunch of film festivals. We just got into Dances with Films, Telluride, Sundance, a couple other places. We all got our, it's called Nobody Leaves Till Jesus Comes. It's a little 5 characters in one room, very gritty, little indie. I play a heroin addict. It's kind of like darkly comic. And if we get a distributor, that will probably be out in the fall too. So.
Well, that's cool. That's great. Well, dude,
other than that, you can catch me on reruns of Law and Order like every night, probably. So,
were you a regular in Law and Order?
No, but it seems like every time I'm flipping around and I'm like, oh, there's that episode of Law and Order.
Yeah, that happens.
Check for 8 cents the next day.
Yeah, I know. I got my check for like 3 cents from CSI and NCIS for where I worked with Arvin for like 18 cents, I think. Whenever I see those checks, I'm like, yes, I'm glad we have a union, because imagine if we didn't have a union, we'd be less than 18 cents.
Imagine if we didn't have a union. Yeah.
And I remember, they allow us, if you're on certain trips, to fly in business class if it's a certain distance. And my career before this didn't have a union. I was like, you'd have to pay for your own upgrades and stuff. And so there's certain.
Well, I mean, I work in Vancouver a lot, and in the last negotiation, it changed where if it's within 1,000 miles, they don't have to fly you first class anymore. So the last time I flew to Vancouver and I went on Air Canada, and it was a coach ticket, and I'm like, that's what we gave up in the last negotiation is.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Well,
and Vancouver is like 900 miles. It's like 100 miles short of the 1,000. Listen, I mean, first class it's not all it's cracked up to be anymore anyway.
No, it's true actually. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm going to play music right now. Yeah.
You are? Okay. You want me to join you?
And I'd love you to. You could sing. I'm going to show you the owl. I'm going to take a picture of it. And this is part 1 of the next one, because we're just getting going. I have so many questions for you. It's driving me crazy.
I know. We could do a whole miniseries.
Okay. I love you, man.
Love you, brother. Great to see you. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And there's 2 questions I didn't get to on there, so I'm gonna have to do those on the next one from Tim and from Paula.
Should we do it right now, real quick?
You got to go.
You can. I can answer a couple of questions.
But answer. I do have to play music, dude.
You people, man. You can say just sing.
But you have to fly somewhere. You got to go across the world. I like this question from Tim. Actually, did you ever have a role you wish you would have turned down? Wicked Games.
No, then I wouldn't have been able to meet you and get chased around the Whole Foods in San Diego.
I think I was going, chase me. Why won't you?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I didn't add that part. You were being very swishy. It was. We got that. That's one of my favorite. We got that by the way you did it. By the way, that's one of my favorite things to do. Not making Whole Foods. A role that I wish I turned down. Yeah, a couple.
Oh, but you can't say them. You can't say them.
I can't say them.
Right, or else you're like, what's her name? Yeah, it's like when you watch Ben Affleck be interviewed for the Batman, and they play "Hello Darkness, My Old Friend." And
yeah. I'll only say this: it's the one and only time in my entire career that I've ever had a love scene. It's the one and only love scene that I've ever had. And the director called me. She's like, "I got this great part for you. You're always playing like the best friend of the guy that gets the girl or the lawyer of the guy that gets the girl. How'd you like to be the guy that gets the girl?" And I said, "Yes, great, done." She's like, "We're going to pay you this and you'll be in and out in 3 days." I said, "Great." She said, "But you need to get in like really great shape in 3 days." And I said, "Okay." So I basically like ate a carrot for, over 3 days time, worked out 8 hours a day to try to get to look like because I had to be, I'm no Paul Green, let's face it. And yeah, that's one that I wish I could bury and put it in a capsule. And I will not. I'm not even to say the title. You guys can. You can take it.
Yeah, well, no, don't say the title. We'll have to. I got my share of those too. But yeah, if you say them, then not only does everybody who sees this for the next 30 years on podcasts or YouTube go and check it out, but then the people that you worked with are offended. So it's just it's a lose-lose. Right? Paula says, what's the biggest mistake a young green actor would make? And she spelled green with my name. But so I think she might be asking what's the error, the mistakes that you saw me make in Wicked Games. Now
that's for part 2.
Yeah, we'll save that one.
You were great. You were great in Wicked Games. You were raw and you were very GRENE. But you were terrific. There was, listen, I think it was Nietzsche, the philosopher Nietzsche, that said, "I wish the stage were as narrow as a tightrope so that no incompetent would dare step upon it." There were a lot of actors on Wicked Games that had no business being in that show or uttering the words of the script. It was rough sometimes being in scenes with those kids. They were kids, but man, they were not trained. You had some training, so we had some good stuff together, but
had some good moments. And working with Tatum O'Neal was a trip because she was going through some things. And then I actually met her. She was going through a really hard time when we worked together.
Yeah.
And then I met her in a cafe a few years later. And, some of you know Tatum O'Neal, her dad's Ryan O'Neal, and her mom, her stepmom, Farrah Fawcett, she passed when we were filming, remember? It was like a really brutal time.
She'd had some health issues, and she'd been through a lot. She and I became very, very close.
I saw her in a cafe after, and she was grounded, and she was in a totally different place. And I saw her, and I was like, "Holy, who's this person?" It was like, it made me like really go. I was so happy that she was doing so much better than when we were.
Yeah. She's doing okay, but she's had a rough go with her dad, her relationship with her dad, and then married to McEnroe, and she got into some drug stuff. She was like a superstar at 10 when she won that Oscar. Those of you who haven't seen Paper Moon or Little Darlings or International Velvet, she came out of the gate, hardcore. Bad News Bears. She was amazing. She's a good egg. I love Tatum. She's had a rough road, but she's doing okay. So
yeah.
Pray for her.
We got to save the rest for part 2. I'm going to let you go.
I'm going to send you some pictures of Chick Hearn, and you can put them up, and we'll do a part 2 soon.
I really feel good about myself when I'm around you, Spencer. So thank you for that.
Ditto.
Like I like the way I feel. I feel proud to be an actor. I feel like proud that it's like the way you speak about our business and the way that you recreate me and the way that just who you are makes me like really proud of what I do, but just super grateful, man, for the road. So thanks for being on the road with me.
I cannot tell you how much that means to me, Paul. That means the world to me. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Right back. Thank you, buddy. That's very sweet.
Have a safe travels, okay?
Thank you, my man. Nice to see everyone.
All right.
I'll talk to you. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to The Other Side. Thanks so much for listening. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share. And please have a look again at the sponsors down below. And I will catch you on the next one of these. If you haven't yet joined over on Apple's iTunes, it's The Grass is Greener with Paul Green. And until I see you, please be kind and gentle and tender and loving to yourself in your thoughts on purpose. And also, please remember that you are not your past. And you are also not the story that you made up about your past. My partner Kate and I have this business and this company called Freedom Alchemist, where we take people on a year-long adventure into self-discovery and from a health perspective and a relationship as well as a mental fitness program and the journey. So Kate, my partner Kate, has her master's in NLP and she's a Tony Robbins coach, and I have my functional nutrition degree and went through a wild time with my dad. He died from ALS, and I used to do men's health fitness covers, and of course for movies I have to take my shirt off all the time, but losing my dad put me on this path to understand neurodegenerative diseases and these chronic illnesses and why everybody seems to be sick. Everyone knows somebody that has one of these, whether it's diabetes or cancer or Alzheimer's or ALS, dementia. And so I wanted to find out why. And so we're working with a top functional nutrition team, the functional medical doctors, and one of my favorite detox people. And we take people through a journey to get their life back, moving from lethargic, sick, and tired to full of beans, energetic, and connected with a vision of the future. That 7th or 8th decade of your life for a lot of people is very scary. And we realize there's a big need to solve that. And so that's what we go after. We help people prepare for the end so that the end can be enjoyable and you can be functioning and walking and run and enjoying your grandkids or your great grandkids and remembering your name. So that's a really powerful project. It's called the Alchemy Method. And I'll leave a little details down below. So if that's you, check that out. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one of these. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.